My father was killed when I was 13, so I supported a family since I was 13. I joined the Navy right out of school. Got married when I was in the service. My wife and I are still married. We've been married 59 years, but right now she's in a memory unit. She had a stroke and it caused her to have memory problems. I spent 40 years in EMS. I was a CPR and first aid instructor for 20 years. I'm still a regular blood donor. In fact, I'll be giving blood again tomorrow. It'll be 261 pints. I had 3 non-AED CPR saves in 1 year while I was working with the squad. So I know it works.
My life story. I grew up in a wonderful family. I've had a blessed life. No complaints. I lived like 11 places before I finished high school. Picking up and moving and changing and new schools and new friends. And for me, that was a good experience. I gained confidence and I think in social skills from that made my life easier. I moved from San Francisco area to the Southern California, Los Angeles area, and one of my good friends was dating her sister and introduced us. Been together ever since, 38 years, marrying the right person. That's the most important part. That's the biggest secret, I think. There's always, challenges along the way, but overall, I'd do it all again in a minute. Like I said, I have a blessed life.
Long life story. Obviously, I'm 71 years of age. Stay in motion is my motto. Feet hit the floor and stay in motion, whatever. Working, I'm not so wild about, but I did it. We had really good parents. They both squeezed as much life out of life as you could. That's probably the best way to put it. Good role models. Yeah, I have a wife. She's also 71. She's a great parent, great wife. Just very lucky. Met in college, first year of college. Been together ever since. We've been married it'll be 50 years here next year. You just stay in motion, appreciate each other, that's about it. Life throws a lot of challenges at you weren't expecting, and I have a very tolerant wife. That's probably the best thing that you can ever have, so it's been good. Just be very tolerant. You get through everything.
I started out as a small child. I was born in New York City, and skipping through the dull parts, the last 30 years of my life, I've lived in Key Largo, Florida, in the Florida Keys. So my wife and I have been performing music professionally for 56 years. Everybody wants to know about how you stay married 56 years. It started out with us on our honeymoon when Carol and I went to the Grand Canyon to take the mule train ride down from the rim of the canyon down to the bottom. And Carol didn't want to do it, but I imposed upon her a little bit. It was our honeymoon. And she was a good sport. She got on the mule, and I got on my mule. And then the mules started to go down the canyon trail. And one of the mules, Carol's mule, made a little misstep and scared her a little bit. So she leaned down to the mule's ear and she said, "That's one." And I thought, what is she talking to the mule about? What does that one mean? So I ignored it, and we went a little further down the trail, and the mule's knee buckled. And Carol went over the saddle like this a little bit. Oh, she was so scared. She leaned down to the mule and she said, "That's two." I thought, I don't understand, but whatever. And down the trail a little further, almost to the end, the mule put his foot off the trail and knocked the pebbles down. Really scared her a lot. So she didn't say anything. She got off the mule. She took out this little .32 caliber pistol that she always carries, and she put it in the mule's ear, and she blew his brains out. And I was horrified, shocked, amazed, and appalled. And I said to her, "Carol, how could you be so inhumane? How could you be so terrible to that poor defenseless animal?" And she looked at me and she squinted her eyes a little bit and she said, "That's one." And that's how you stay married for 56 years. I don't take anything too seriously. I think that's another thing about life that you learn as you go along. There's humor in everything. We struggled a lot in the beginning because the jobs were, state jobs, and taking care of people is a good thing to do, but it doesn't pay a lot of money, as any nurse or healthcare worker will probably tell you. I think I chose the right path, although a lot of people, when they heard us play music, especially my wife singing, they said, "What are you doing here? You should be big." But we wanted to give our kids a normal life and stay in a school district that they could have friends in and things like that. You want to hear my wife sing? Unfortunate part of it right now is that she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and now she's taking chemotherapy here locally at the Carillion and Blue Ridge group, and she just finished her second chemotherapy on Friday, and now we can't play for a while until she almost gets back to normal, which takes about 2 weeks and a half, and then we can do an occasional job until she takes the next infusion of the medication, and then she's down, laid low again. The good news was when she had the surgery for her tumor, it was a very, very small tumor, so she didn't need a big mastectomy, just a little lumpectomy. But the bad news is it's the type of cancer that is most likely to come back. I'm proudest of all of my family, my wife, my 2 children, who I'm so blessed with, and I'm proud of the achievements that we as a group, as a family have achieved, and I'm proud of individual achievements that, and when I say individual, I mean Carol and I never speak of myself without Carol. A few years ago, we did something called the Great Loop. We lived on a boat for 10 years. So we took a boat from Florida, headed it up the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway to New York, then into the Hudson River, up through the Great Lakes, into Canada, and then down through the river system, the Mississippi, all of these various rivers that brought us all the way back down to the Gulf in Mobile, Alabama. And we went out into the Gulf of Mexico. We got hit by Hurricane Michael. It was 2 boats that weren't sunk in a marina of 100, and ours was one of them that didn't. We then proceeded on across the Gulf of Mexico back down to Florida Keys, and our starting point, it took us 6 months. It was 6,000 miles, and it was one of the greatest experiences of our lives. Fewer people have completed that than have climbed Mount Everest. So it was an accomplishment.
My life story, as brief as I can say it, is my parents were immigrants from Finland. My husband and I started out with horses, working with Arabian horses and breeding Arabian horses, but that we did before I came to Virginia. And then we came to Virginia and scaled things down to sheep and ducks. Yeah, I've been married 42 years. My son is actually adopted. He adopted when he was 3.5. A true blessing to us. I don't know what to say about raising kids. Just know that, they're going to be them, and you have to let them be who they are and guide them in the best way and be the best role model you can. The one goal I had as a young person was to go to veterinary school and be a veterinarian, but it didn't work out. And because it didn't work out, I ended up meeting my husband, and in life was very fulfilling. I still, I love the animals, and I enjoy owning animals and livestock, and that I'm fine with that.
I was born here in Roanoke, grew up here, just moved away about 10 years ago to Wilmington, North Carolina, where my son moved and his wife, and they started having children, so Mimi had to go down there. Been married 51 years, got married in high school, still together. Met in high school, yeah. I was a senior in high school, graduated Mrs. instead of Miss. Everybody said it won't work, you'll never stay together, but we did. So I think we were both just so ornery and determined that we weren't going to have a broken up marriage like our parents, that we were determined that this was going to work. Plus we had a child to think of too, so we didn't want him to grow up without mommy and daddy both being part of his life. So that was special. Financial. When you get married in high school, you have nothing, and you live in a furnished apartment with no heat hardly in the winter, so it's tough. I think if you make it through those really hard, tough times, and the times get good, you appreciate each other more because you've been through everything together. So that bonds us. Our child bonds us. Our grandchildren bonds us. So it's family that bonds us together. And we would just never think of splitting up because we wouldn't be without our family when we just couldn't exist without that. Just live one day at a time and enjoy every day you get because you don't know what the next one's going to bring you. You know, you wake up on the green side of the grass, that's a good sign. I know young people, when they get married, they're easy to give up and say, well, we can always get a divorce, or maybe we won't just get married, maybe we'll just live together. And if we don't like it, we can go our separate ways, but you have to make that commitment. You make a commitment to each other when you get married, in your vows, and it hurts me to see that people don't take that as seriously as they should. And you just got to get through everything together, good times and the bad times.